Hello, hello. This is Pat once again doing a Ask a Christian a Question. Today is Desecration Proves the Eucharist is Real. Before we jump into it, I just want to note the reason why I've started doing this as kind of like a little mini-series is because I feel like it's important that we start asking Protestants to explain this stuff away.
What do Satanists do with stolen hosts? They don't just hoard them, they use them for desecration, blasphemous rituals, black masses, direct attacks against the Eucharist. Why? Because they believe Jesus is truly there. This isn't about superstition, it's about spiritual warfare. Hebrews 10:29 warns against those who trample underfoot the Son of God. Desecration only makes sense if the host is sacred. If it's just bread, there's no power to insult. But if it's Christ, then the insult cuts deep. And here's the twist. These acts confirm Catholic truth. The Church teaches in CCC 1374 that the whole Christ is truly, really, and substantially present, which means the desecration is real, and so is the presence. Pray in reparation.
All right, so Jesus is actually in the bread. That's called transubstantiation for those of you that don't know. And Satanists are still in it. So I posted a thing that says, you cited no sources that show that this occurs within the occult. And that was a couple of days ago. I never received a response. This one is titled, Desecration Proves the Eucharist is Real. Well, let's read some comments. All right, so the comment that I first stated was, you cited no sources that show that this occurs within the occult, which you didn't. And I actually went and did some digging, and I found absolutely nothing that showed that this occurs. I'm looking for like actual news events and things of that nature. Because if somebody broke in and tried to take off with something like that, it would be on the news. Local news at least. You think I would be able to find something like that? Another thing is that this gentleman doesn't know the difference between Satanists and Luciferianists. A Satanist worships self, and a Luciferianist worships Satan and or demons. So one commenter says, we must pray for the reparations for those blasphemous desecrations committed against the most blessed sacrament. So Jesus himself, as that piece of bread, is being desecrated. Another person, Lord, have mercy on us all, especially those who do not believe in the real presence of Jesus. Once again, Jesus is that piece of bread. Another person, once I heard a great quote, and here's the quote, if faith is all that matters, the Satanists and demons would be bound for heaven. After the quote, even the Satanists understand the real presence, but it takes more than faith to be saved. Some food for thought for our Protestant brothers and sisters in Christ. So it takes more than faith in Catholicism. It also takes works. And again, this person doesn't understand the separation of Satanist versus Luciferianist. This is where it gets funny. Twice I've had to intervene as someone attempted to leave with the host in hand, uneaten. If something doesn't seem right, take the time to watch if they actually ate the host. Oh no, people are running away with Jesus. What are we going to do? All right, this one. Satanic. This is why there should be people watching who don't swallow the host but carry them out of Mass. That's right. There has to be guards guarding the piece of bread. We don't want Jesus to get stolen. What should we do? All right, this last one is the reason why I wanted to do this video. All this proves is that the blind are leading the blind, If what you are saying about transubstantiation and the host being desecrated were true, then by that same logic, one should never eat the host, because the real desecration would occur 24 hours later when the body disposes of it naturally when being flushed down the toilet. That alone shows how absurd this line of reasoning is. This is so true. With that in mind, these people think that Jesus is a piece of bread. These people think that when you run off with the piece of bread, you're running off with Jesus in your hand. These people think that Satanists, who are not Luciferians, are stealing bread. We need to pray for these people. We need to pray for their salvation. Now, the Bible does say that God winks at our ignorance. So with that in mind, are there Catholics who are saved, who will be saved, who we will see in the kingdom? Yes, absolutely. However, this system in and of itself is satanic. My Jesus is not inside a piece of bread. My Jesus is at the right hand of the Father. This group of people need to be reached because they are lost. So I would ask, how is it possible for my Protestant brothers and sisters in Christ to look at this and say, yes, these people are Christians? Answer the question, how is it possible for someone to be a Christian and yet think that Jesus is inside of a piece of bread?